Alright, not too much to say here. We are here to learn multi-jugs on a kendama, or you can use these principles to juggle some apples in one hand, or anything in one hand is really what these tips will be useful for. Let's go over some of the kind of prior knowledge you'll need before taking on your multi-juggles. Alright, the first and probably most important thing is I'm going to assume that you know the principles behind doing a single juggle like this, because if you can't do that yet, there's no point on moving on to multi-juggles. I've done a couple of juggle tutorials which you can find on my channel somewhere, and if you don't know how to do that single juggle already, go watch those and then I'll still be here and you can come back and learn the multi-juggle. The single juggle is really important. It covers things like throwing the ken while the tama is on its way down, and just other juggle principles that will be key and assumed that you already know them. The other quick thing to specify is don't try to dive right into like 10 juggles in a row, 15 juggles in a row. Start using this tutorial trying to get 2 juggles down, which would be like this. And then you can go 2, 3, 4, 5 and build from there. The last thing is that this tutorial is going to cover the multi-juggles to big cup. One, because going to spike is kind of just one extra step onto the multi-juggle and we're here for the basics. And 2, because me personally, I usually just rely on the last throw and getting a bit lucky with hole placement and tracking. So it's not really something I want to like get into the details of how to do, because I don't think I really could tell you. So short and sweet, by the end of this video, you should hopefully be able to nail some multi-juggles and they'll feel nice and good in your hands and you'll be able to land on big cup, or if you can see that hole, you might just be able to land it on spike. Now here's my first major tip when learning multi-juggles. Go through your kendama collection and find the kendama that A, has the longest string. This is like at least a 10 finger string on the lotus bloom, and 2, along with the long string, your ken that is the largest size. Again, the lotus bloom is perfect for this. I love this for juggling, but the bigger size really makes the flips more controlled and helps a lot with multi-juggles. Now, that isn't to say that whatever kendama you happen to have will be good for multi-juggles. I can show you just for comparison. I have this kendama which has like a 3 to 4 finger string and a tiny little ken, and I'm still able to do the multi-juggles on it. It just obviously is a little bit tougher, takes a little more practice, but whatever you've got, you can get it done. But look for a long string and a big ken if you can. Now that you've got your longest string and biggest ken, let's talk about infrequent throwing patterns. Now, when I'm doing the multi-jug here, it may look in regular speed as if I'm throwing both the ken and the tama basically as soon as they reach my hand, right? However, I found that when learning multi-juggles, one of the most important and beneficial things was the infrequent throw, where you are holding the ken a lot longer throughout the juggle than you're holding the tama. So it's more of a juggle where throw the ken, hit the tama, catch the ken, and then repeat, rather than back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. And I'll try to demonstrate and exaggerate that movement as much as possible so that it's something you can keep in mind when you're trying to learn the multi-juggle. Do you see how, like, in those patterns, it seems as if I'm holding that ken and kind of resetting every go? I'll show you an example of me just instantly throwing the ken and the tama, like, as they come, as the tama is thrown, and you'll be able to see that it's a lot harder to control. So you don't want to do this. What you want to do is, again, that infrequent pattern where it's like ken tama, ken tama, ken tama, ken tama. So I'm going to illustrate this principle to you with just a double juggle. Try to notice the difference. Here is that infrequent throw pattern that you want. Versus doing the throws like in sync. And you can see how that quickly became a lot harder to control because I didn't have that breather when I caught the Ken. So that's a major thing. Take a pause when you catch that Ken and reset for another juggle cycle. I really hope that's easy to understand, and it's really going to come more naturally, I think, when you actually have the kendama in your hand and you're kind of practicing those alternating throws. So really give it a try, and I think you'll know what I mean. The second and pretty much last major tip I can give you is something that I know a lot of jugglers refer to as a column pattern. And that's basically keeping the tama and the ken in their own columns as the juggle is, juggling versus having them kind of too close together. So I'll try to juggle straight on so that you can see the ken and the tama stay in their own respective sides more or less, rather than kind of getting too close. And then I'll show you what it looks like when they get too close and why it's such an issue. So this is what you want, nice distinct side to side action. So do you see there how the ken and the tama never really get too close to crossing paths, and they're kind of doing the up and down in their own lanes, and it's my hand that's kind of making that connection between lanes? That's really important to keeping a multi-juggle going for a long time. If I don't focus on keeping those columns separate, it would look more like this. You can see very quickly if you don't make sure to keep those in their own lanes, they're going to be bumping into each other and you're not going to get more than 2, 3, maybe 4 if you're lucky juggles going. To recap the major things, make sure you can do a single pull-up juggle before you even attempt to apply any of the stuff that you learned in this video. Tip number 1 when it came to the multi-juggles was the longest string and heaviest, largest ken you can find will make your life a bit easier, but whatever you have will work. The second thing was those infrequent throws and letting the ken rest in your hand far longer than you do with the tama, so that your multi-juggles become basically cycles of single juggles, going for more of a catch on the ken versus a little toss on the tama. And the third and final thing was to keep the column pattern in check, keeping the ken towards your right or dominant side and the tama in the middle without letting them cross paths very much, using your hand to keep those columns distinct. That's key to letting you go, 3, 4, 5, 6, or however many you can manage multi-juggles. With that all said and done, it really comes down to practice and applying these things I've told you. Really get the ken in hand and try the trick. That's really the only way you're going to learn. I do hope this helped. I do hope you'll be multi-juggling your way through life from this point forward, and I hope you stick around for some more kendama, etc. stuff coming down the pipeline. Appreciate you as always. I will see you in the next one.